Hi everyone, this is Rebecca Lynch, and today I'm going to be talking about how to format your manuscript for self-publishing. Now, there are a lot of tutorials out there about, how to write a book and how to self-publish, but very few of them actually go into details about how to format your manuscript. And the reason for this is that there's a lot of services out there where you can get someone else to format it for you, but that costs a lot of money, and I figure why pay when you can just do it for free? So, a good way to get started is to actually use a template. Now, there are a lot of templates available on lulu.com. Even if you don't want to publish with Lulu ultimately, you can just come here and use their templates. Okay? And they have a lot of different sizes to choose from. One of the most popular is A5. That's what I generally use. US Trade, which is a 6x9 inch book, is also another popular size. But for this tutorial, I'm going to use A5. So all you do is you go to Publish, Books, and scroll down. You can choose different sizes from up here or do it down here. And you just download the template. And I have one open right here. And this is what it looks like. And to show you what makes it different from a normal document is that it's actually formatted, it has a top, bottom margin, inside, outside that are all set for print. But also there's a gutter, which is very important. And this affects the inside where the book is going to be bound together, and you need to have a gutter if you're going to be making a print book, because that's the part that's going to get kind of cut off. You won't be actually able to see that part because they'll be in the binding. But so if you use a template like this one, it comes preset with the gutter built in, so it'll alternate. On the first page it'll be on this side, and on the second page it'll be on this side, so on therefore. Now, I'm also going to show you an example of one of my books that I've already put together to give you an example of how you need to do the text and how you need to format it. So this is one of the books I've written and published from my Tattoo Country series. And so on the first page of your manuscript, what you're going to want to do is have your title page. And the best idea is just to center that and give yourself plenty of room around it. And then the second page is going to be your copyright page. And it can be kind of difficult to come up with all this legal mumbo gumbo yourself. The best way to figure out what to put on this page is actually just to get a book off your shelf and look at its copyright page. It's really best thing. You need to list your copyright here. If someone made a cover for you, list that here. I like to include my editors, just give them a little shout out. Also, this is where you'll include your ISBN. The nice thing about Lulu, if you do publish with them, is that they'll provide you a free ISBN number, which is really great because they can get kind of expensive if you want to purchase them on your own, but you definitely need to have one of those. So your second page will be copyright. Third page, most books have this, not all of them do, so it's not really necessary, but this is just a second title page, which, is an introduction to the main content of your book. Now, as you'll notice, this is a blank page. Ignore the little header and footer. I'll get back to that in a second. But this is a blank page, and you might be wondering why it's there. And it's kind of hard to tell when you view the book like this. So let me zoom out and show you. Oh, well, that's too far. There we go. All right. When you view the book like this, it kind of gives you an idea of what the fronts and the back pages are going to be. When you print, your cover page is going to be on the front, and this is going to be on the back of that page. So, after that one, this is going to be the front of the next page, and then you're going to have a blank on the back. And when you print, they're not going to automatically put in those blank pages for you, so you have to include them on your manuscript so everything doesn't get smushed together. And after that blank page, if you want to have a table of contents, that will come next. I like having one just because chapters get pretty long sometimes in books, especially this one. This book is 309 pages, so I definitely felt like I need to include a table of contents. And there's tons of different ways to format those. You don't have to centerline it. You can put titles on this side and page numbers over here. It's really up to you. Again, a good way to get an idea of how you want to do this is just to pick up another book who has one and just get an idea from them. And after you've done all your front matter, I have some verses in mind, but you can ignore that. You actually start with the first chapter of your book. And something you need to keep in mind is that again, for fronts and back pages, your front of your first chapter needs to always come on an odd page number. You can see mine starts on page 9. And so it needs to be on an odd page number, so it'll begin on the front of a page and not on the back. Okay? So that just kind of gives you a rundown on how to format the beginning, this front matter is what they call it. Alright? And we're going to get back to the headers and footers, as I mentioned earlier. When you look in a book and you're flipping through it, you'll see a lot of times they'll have the title of the book and the author's name on the top. And that's very easy to do in Word. All you have to do, and I'm using Word for Mac, so it might look a little bit different on your version, but generally what you can do is just go to Insert, Document Elements, Headers or Footers. And in the header, and it will pop up here, you can choose a different type you want. And a lot of times I'll pick something nice and plain like this and just don't put in a page number. That way I can just have words. And you'll put in, your title. And then also you want to have a page number. Again, it's up to you whether you want at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page. And that's also easy to do. Just insert, document elements. It's usually in footers. And you can use a footer like this and just put in a number. Or if you want to put a page number in without using a footer, you can just go to Insert and Page Numbers. And that'll bring this up and you can format them here. And I like picking bottom of the page in the footer and center aligned. And that way it's not jumping back and forth. You just tell it okay. You don't want to have a header and a footer on your front matter, on your cover page, or any of this stuff until you actually get to the first page of the chapter. So a good way to do that, because on Word it's very difficult to indicate for it just to not show up. It's just the way the program works. But I figured out a little hack you can do where it's there, but when you print, it doesn't show up. What you do is you highlight all your text in your front matter. You highlight everything. Well, it's not one to highlight now. There we go. Highlight everything in your front matter. And go to Format, Document. And this is where we're going to play with the margins a little bit. For here, you see header and footer are 0. That means, it's so far up at the top of the page that when it's printed, that's not even going to show. So, all you have to do is just highlight the front matter and make the header and the footer 0. And that will scoot this up to the top. So, you can see it here, but when you save it later and actually input it into whatever site you're going to be using to get it printed, it won't show up in the final book because they trim that little edge off. So that's a really neat hack, so you don't have to have page numbers and all that on the front page. And just as an example, so you know how far down to put them here, you need to go to Format, Document, and see for the rest of the pages, the header and the footer are 0.35. And that way it's close enough to the top where it's not really in the way of the rest of the text, but at the same time you'll still see it once it gets printed. Okay? So another thing to address when making your own manuscript is typeface. And I use Times New Roman generally for my books. It's really up to you. There's a lot of different fonts you can pick from, but there's a few suggestions I'm going to make. One is that you're going to want to make sure it's a serif font. And what that means, I'll zoom in to really show you. Serif fonts have these little foots or something on the end. They have these serifs on the edges of the letters. You see how on the edge of the H, you see that little line that comes off. That just means that it's going to be easier to read when you have a lot of text. So using a serif font for your book is going to be a good idea. Times New Roman is an example of this. There are other ones. Cambria is the default in Word. That's also a serif font. And you can just look through all your other ones. Baskerville is another serif font. Bookman Old Style, another serif font. So it's up to you. Just make sure when you pick something it's very easy to read without being too large. Usually just, 12 for the font size. That's a good standard thing to stay with. Now, another thing to address is formatting the actual chapters. Of course, you'll have your chapter head at the top, and all you have to do, just type whatever you want. You do not have to include a number. It's usually a good idea. You also don't have to have a name, but it's also a good idea. It helps to distinguish a little bit. And also, if there's a theme in the chapter you really want to make sure gets through, you could always use that as a title as well. So you make sure you have your title. Make sure it's larger than your other text so that it's easily to distinguish. And have a good space in between your title and your beginning paragraph. And something, everyone should know by now from writing is to indent each paragraph. Sometimes you'll see people do it like this and just put a space between each paragraph, but that's really not good in print. That works better on the internet. So what you'll want to do is just use a tab to indent it, but do not indent the first paragraph in each chapter or in each section. I like breaking up things into sections. So that's just how you do it in books. Another way, when you want to format a book, a good example is just pick a book off the shelf and look to see the way they format theirs, and that will give you a good idea of how to do it. One more thing about chapters. Another blank page. Not all books do this, but I like to do this, is to make sure every chapter begins on the front of a page. So if I ended my chapter on an odd page, I like to add a blank page after it. So remember, this is the front, that's the back. So this is the front of the next page. And I just like formatting my books that way. I've read ones that don't do it that way, but I just think it looks nicer when you're done. So when you're done with your book and you have everything together, you have a title page in a font you like. You have your name on it, you have your copyright information, included with your proper ISBN. You have all your front matter together, your table of contents, and you have all your chapters put together. You have proper heading, all your numbers are correct. What you'll do when you have this all together, sometimes you add a little advertisement at the end. I like doing that just as an extra thing. But what you'll want to do when you have this in Word, most online sites that you self-publish with will not accept Word documents. So what you're going to want to do is save it as a PDF. Thankfully, pretty much all new Word programs, especially if you're using a Mac computer, will actually let you do that straight from here. So what you just do is go File, Save As. I'm just saving it on my desktop so I can find it easily. And I'll just say Book PDF version. And all you have to do is see down here where it says Format, click that, and choose PDF. And then when you save it, and sometimes it'll take a while depending on how many pages you have. Also, yes, here, a header and footer of section 1 are set outside the printable area. This is what I was talking about earlier, where you won't see the page number in the header on the front matter, and that's okay. It's a word that you won't see it, but that's actually a good thing for us. So we'll tell it, yes, we want to continue. And then it'll have to process every page of your book. And if you have a long book like this one, it'll take a few minutes. But it's not so bad. So there we go, it's done. It showed up over here. You can open it. And oh, that's big. And there you go. See, the header's not there. There's no header up there that's saying anything, and there's no number down here at the bottom. See? But it appears right here at the first chapter, just like we wanted it to. And with this file, you can upload it straight to Lulu or Creative Space, whatever program you want to use to self-publish with. And that's really all there is to it. So, see, it can be really easy when you just use another book as an example and just take your time and format it so that it looks nice. And you really have no reason to pay for someone else to do it. You can do it here at home with, Word. Alright, well, I hope you learned something from this video, and thank you for listening. Bye.